In 2020, I did something that everyone around me thought was insane. I quit my job in Dubai in the middle of a global pandemic, when the entire world was desperately holding on to whatever stability they had left. No new job lineup, no clear plan, no safety net. I didn't quit because I was brave. I quit because I realized something much more uncomfortable. If I didn't break the circle I was in, I was going to lose myself in it. Most people think that to change your life, you need a dramatic revelation, a sign, a perfect moment. But what I've learned after reinventing my life multiple times across multiple countries from scratch is that life doesn't change in the moment you decide to change. It changes in the moment you do something that breaks your existing pattern. Today, I'm giving you a step-by-step plan to reinvent your life in 4 hours. Bill Gates calls this Think Week. He goes to a cabin in the woods twice a year with no calendar, no meetings, nothing but time to think. Most of us don't have a week, but we have 4 hours. And 4 hours used with the right framework can shift your life's trajectory more than years of waiting ever will. I will walk you through every step. Don't skip ahead because each one builds on the last. Stay till the end. Why your life isn't changing and why slow change doesn't work. Here's something that neuroscience backs up and that I've experienced firsthand more times than I'd like to admit. Your brain is a prediction machine. It conserves energy by defaulting to the same patterns, same thoughts, same emotional responses, same decisions. And over time, this creates a loop. Same thoughts, same action, same emotions, and same results. Most advice tells you to gradually improve within that loop. Read more, sleep better, build habits, and while those things aren't wrong, they rarely break the fundamental cycle, especially if you've been stuck in it for a long time. Real change doesn't happen through improvement inside the existing system. It happens when you break the system itself, when you do something that disrupts your brain's default predictions. After resigning and leaving Dubai in 2020 to create a better life, I went back to Portugal and started waking up at 5 a.m. Before that, I was sometimes going to sleep at 5 a.m., the complete opposite. And I didn't do it because of some morning routine philosophy. I did it because it was the exact opposite of what my brain was used to. I started walking outside in the dark, in silence, without my phone. I cut out scrolling, background noise, and constant stimulation because the dopamine overload of modern life had made it impossible to hear my own thoughts. Within weeks, things started to clarify. Not because to the early morning were magic, because I had broken my brain's autopilot. And in that space, new thoughts could actually emerge. The first step of your Think Day is understanding this. You cannot change your life while staying inside the same emotional and behavioral system. You have to break it first. Now, step 2. Change your location. Change your thinking. Bill Gates went to a cabin in the woods. You don't need a cabin, but you do need to leave your usual environment. When you're at home, at your desk, in your usual coffee shop, your brain automatically slots into its usual patterns. The physical context triggers the mental context. That's why it's so hard to think clearly about your life when you're in the middle of it. Go somewhere you don't normally go. A neighborhood you rarely visit, a park you never sat in, a cafe with no associations, somewhere that signals to your brain. We are not operating on autopilot today. Bring your notebook. Leave the noise behind, and now you're ready for step 3, the honest audit most people never actually do. The life audit. Seeing clearly where you actually are. This is the first exercise you do once you're there. Look at the key areas of your life: health, work, relationships, personal growth, joy, and give each one an honest number from 1 to 10. 10 means you can imagine it being better. 1 means you can imagine it being worse. You're not looking for perfect scores. You're looking for honest ones. The gaps between where things actually are and where you want them to be. That's your map. Write it down, don't edit it. When I did this after leaving Dubai, the numbers were hard to look at. But seeing them clearly on paper without excuses, that was the first time I could actually work with them. The audit sets the direction for everything that follows, which means step 4 is where things get interesting and where most people stop themselves before they even start. Step 4, the most powerful question you can ask yourself. There is one question that cuts through every excuse, every fear, every reason you've been telling yourself it's not the right time. And I wish someone had given to me 10 years earlier. When I was in the middle of deciding whether to leave my job in Dubai in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, my brain was doing what all brains do, presenting me with every possible reason why this was a terrible idea. What if I run out of money? What if I can't rebuild? What if I've made a mistake and I cannot undo? I kept circling these fears without actually examining them, until I asked myself one question and wrote down the answer before my brain could edit it. What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? The answer came immediately, and it was nothing like what I've been allowing myself to consider. That question works because it bypasses the fear filter your brain applies to every decision by default. When you ask, what should I do? Fear screens out the options that carry risk. But when you ask, what would I do if I couldn't fail? You get the answer before the filter engages. Write it down. Don't explain why it's impossible. Let it exist on paper first, and then ask, what's actually stopping me? The answer will almost always be fear. And fear, named specifically on paper, becomes a problem to solve, not a monster in the dark. Once you have your answer written down, the thing you would do if you couldn't fail, the follow-up is this. Why aren't you doing it? Write down the specific fear, then write down the actual worst-case scenario, not the vague, catastrophic version of your brain generates, the specific one. What would actually happen? How likely is it? And what could you do if you started going this way? When fear is abstract, it expands to fill all available space. When it's on paper with specific details, it almost always turns out to be smaller and more solvable than it appeared. Now you have a map and you know what you want. Step 5 is where you turn it into something that actually happens. Step 5. The system that makes change stick. Most people set annual goals. 12 months, one big vision, and by March, the energy is gone. And the goal is in a Notes app, and they haven't opened since January. The problem isn't the goal, it's the time frame. 12 months is too abstract for the brain to constantly prioritize. There is always tomorrow. Always next month, always when things calm down. Here's what I do instead. Every quarter, I identify 3 or 4 concrete goals for the next 90 days. Specific outcomes, each connected to do something I want long term. Then I break each one into the smallest possible steps. Steps so small that doing one today is genuinely easy. Not get healthier. Something like walk for 20 minutes before I open my laptop. Not build my business, but something like have one conversation today about what I'm building. What happens is that you are not starting at the mountain every morning. You're looking at one step, and one step is manageable, even on a hard day, even when motivation is low. 4 months after breaking my old patterns in Portugal, waking up at 5 a.m., walking alone in the dark, and finally sitting with my own thoughts, I found the clarity I had been missing for years. I went back to Dubai with a completely different understanding of who I was, what I wanted, and what I was trying truly to build. This shift didn't happen because I had a perfect plan. It happened because I broke the loop. I created space to think and then took one step, then another. If this resonates, if you are someone who's been trying to change something and keeps getting stuck, subscribe. I make videos specifically for people who are done with generic advice and want framework that actually work in real life. Every video I make comes from having lived it. Hit subscribe and I will see you in the next one. Life doesn't change because you want it to. It changed because you do something that breaks the pattern you're in, and then you keep doing things that build a new one. The Think Day method gives you the structure to do this intentionally. You audit what you actually are. You ask what you would like to do if fear won't run in the decision. You name the fear specifically and shrink it to this real size. And you translate everything you find into the smallest possible next step, one you can take tomorrow. You don't need a week in a cabin. You need 4 hours, a different location, and the willingness to be honest with yourself. That's where reinvention starts.